Greetings. In this tutorial, what I want to do is introduce metaphysics. This is my thinking. We're going to be missing a day, Tuesday, and so I want to upload some tutorials on some of the materials so I can keep you all in the loop on metaphysics, and we can kind of push forward and keep moving, keep our momentum, so to speak. Metaphysics we talked about last time as the term itself being really a ambiguous term, and it means many things to many people. I pointed out that metaphysics, what we're after, what we're concerned with, is academic metaphysics. Metaphysics can mean many things to different people. In particular, it connotates things like the occult, mysticism, some kind of transcendental otherness. Look, I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to dump on that, but what I'm going to say here is that what we're concerned, our purview of interest in metaphysics is academic metaphysics. And academic metaphysics is going to be concerned with things like the ultimate nature of reality, the mind-body problem, free will determinism, the nature of time, the nature of causality, the nature of substance, and those sorts of things. Now, the term etymologically, metaphysics, I pointed out last time, is basically two Greek words put together, metaphysics. Meta, after, physics, the stuff after the physics. This etymological translation came to us by sheer accident. The first century scholars who were compiling Aristotle's recently discovered work, they tried to place his material in organized categories, and what they did is they found that there were some stuff that didn't quite fit in the categories of Aristotle. They didn't fit in his writings on logic, they didn't fit on his writings on rhetoric, they didn't fit quite on his writings of science or the physics. So what they ended up doing is they just put this kind of leftover material after the physics. So here we have metaphysics, literally meaning the stuff that comes after the book the book on physics. So that doesn't help us much, but I just want us to kind of focus our inquiry on metaphysics in reference to the nature of ultimate reality. In other words, what we're going to engage in is a meta-discipline, a branch of philosophy that's going to study the ultimate nature of reality. Okay. Further, I pointed that these are all included in academic metaphysical issues, areas of metaphysical inquiry, nature of time, substance, causality, and that sort. Okay. Now I'm going to forward a few slides because, as I pointed last time in class, I pointed out that our concern is going to be with three primary areas of metaphysics. Okay, for our survey, we can't cover exhaustively the entirety of metaphysics. That's too much. That's too much to do in 2 semesters, right? But what we want to do is we want to look at 3 distinct areas in metaphysics. We want to look at 1, the nature of ultimate reality. 2, we want to look at the nature of mental states. And 3, we want to look at the nature of free will. Now, all of these have inherent problems kind of built in. And most of our discussion, most of our inquiry will be certainly on the problem related to mental states and the problem or problems related to free will. Okay, but we do want to start here kind of in a big umbrella, so to speak, area. We want to start with this kind of big metaphysical big question: what's the ultimate nature of reality? Okay, so that's where we want to start. And again, I pointed out last time that there's kind of a relationship, really a logical relationship between these. How you answer, number 1, how you come down on the nature of ultimate reality really then determines how you come down on the area of the nature of mental states. And how you come down on this also then determines how you come down on the nature of free will. So they're all related. So let's start with the bigger one. The ultimate nature of reality. Okay? The ultimate nature of reality seeks to answer the question regarding what is real, what has being, B-E-I-N-G, what has reality versus what is not real, what is merely illusory, what doesn't have being, B-E-I-N-G, being. And by the way, the fancy term that's used to discuss theory of being in this discussion on nature of reality is the Greek word ontos, O-N-T-O-S, and it's the discipline or the study of ontology, O-N-T-O-L-O-G-Y, ontology, and it's that what we're engaged in. We're talking about ontology, what has being, what is real and what's not. Here's an example. Someone may be committed to the existence of just physical objects, just matter and energy. Whereas someone else may be committed to, and when I say committed, I'm talking about metaphysical commitments here, committed to the existence of both matter and energy, both physicality, physical things, and non-physical things. Okay? Now we have a couple of options here. Metaphysical dualism, metaphysical monism there on top, and metaphysical dualism. Okay, we're going to start with metaphysical monism. That's going to have a couple of varieties. One we talked about in class, and the other we didn't. Okay, so let's start with metaphysical monism. The basic posture of metaphysical monism is simply the metaphysical commitment, or the commitment to the existence of, and here it is, one and only one kind of substance. That's metaphysical monism. So someone who says, in terms of categorizing what is real, all there is, that of course can be spelled out as, if you're a metaphysical monist, it can be cashed out in this basic commitment. There is only one kind of thing that is real, reality, matter and energy, physical stuff. So here you might say someone may be committed to the existence of only physical objects, like those objects that have physical properties, tables, books, chairs, etc. Okay, that's a metaphysical, or a type of metaphysical monism. Now there are two types of metaphysical monism. A metaphysical materialist, this is what we covered in class the other day. It's a position that says, and it's committed to the existence of only one kind of stuff, namely physical objects, objects that have physical properties. And I put this up on the overhead in class and showed you what an example of that might look like in terms of a top-down approach, where we could structure and classify the universe in terms of one kind of basic constituent, matter and energy. Okay. In fact, I'm going to bring that slide up now just to show you. So here's, again, this is the slide we used in class. Here is the top-down approach of metaphysical classification. Here you have reality. Reality here, notice what's real on this schema is matter and energy. So here is just only one kind of stuff. There's only one kind of stuff if you're a metaphysical materialist, namely stuff that is matter and energy in its basic constituents. That can be further broken down, and I just did that in class, showed you how to break this down. But notice the basic commitments here goes down to matter and energy. Okay, let me go back to the other slide. Again, the metaphysical materialist, their commitment is the existence of only one and only one kind of stuff, physicality, physical objects. Okay, now we didn't cover this in class. Metaphysical idealism is also a metaphysical monist position, but it takes the opposite view. It says what's real, what has existence, is non-physical things. So the most real, the ultimate constituents of reality are non-physical things. So the non-physicality is what's really real, and physicality is in some sense illusory. Now, metaphysical idealism is quite difficult to grasp. It's very uncommon to find that here in the Western world. We'll look at a philosopher in the next unit that takes seriously this metaphysical idealism. But for the most part, we have to travel usually to an Eastern religious tradition to encounter metaphysical idealism. For example, in the Hindu tradition, if you talk to certain or see and study certain versions of Hinduism, their basic commitment is a metaphysical idealism, that what's really real is Brahman, this ultimate reality that is invisible, that pervades all physicality. So the physical things in front of us, those are really appearances. What lurks behind those appearances, what's really real for the Hindu, is Brahman, which itself is non-physical. And that's a type of metaphysical idealism. Okay, so again, metaphysical monism comes in two versions: metaphysical materialism, metaphysical idealism. Okay. All right. Here's metaphysical materialism. Here you can see metaphysical materialism. They're committed to physicality, books, tables, chairs. No physical things. Non-physical things are dismissed or explained in terms of physicality. So this, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of like a ghostly figure, like a soul rising from a dead corpse. Here is an angel, and these are all, again, with the no signal or a symbol on there indicating that they don't believe that. They're not committed to its existence because they lack physicality. Here are famous metaphysical materialists, of course, Dr. Stephen Hawking, Friedrich Nietzsche, Bill Maher, Bertrand Russell, Carl Sagan, and the philosopher Daniel Dennett. They're all in agreement as in terms of their metaphysical commitments. They're all metaphysical materialists. Again, metaphysical idealism. I'll skip this, but metaphysical idealist, remember, is just committed to the existence of one kind of stuff, namely mental, non-physical, or spiritual things. That's a type of metaphysical idealism. We'll look at this in detail when we look at Bishop Berkeley for the next unit. Okay. Before I wrap up this little tutorial here, let me discuss the other alternative. It's called metaphysical dualism, and its basic commitment is that there exists, what's really real are both kinds of basic stuff. Metaphysical dualism says there are physical material items, and there's the conjunction there, and non-physical material items. Here's an example. Someone might be a metaphysical dualist by saying books, tables, and chairs, and cells, those all exist, but so do souls, angels, or mental states. Let me trade slides here to show you what that looks like. So in class, this is what we looked at on the overhead. Basic reality is carved out now in two basic constituents. Matter and energy, this is all physicality. But the dualist says, along with that, are non-physical reality, maybe divine beings, minds, spirits, moral values, perhaps numbers. Those basic commitments is that of a metaphysical dualism. Okay? So, I'll wrap this up in our next tutorial, and then we'll move on to the mind-body problem. Thank you.